Stop before you donate that ugly lamp. One overlooked maker's mark could mean thousands. Photograph the base, shade, sockets, and hardware before anyone separates the parts or refinishes them. Picture a stained glass lamp sitting beside a donation box. Its colors too dark, its base too heavy, the whole thing decades out of fashion. Most familiar Tiffany-style lamps are later decorative reproductions with modest resale value. But a narrow group of authenticated Tiffany Studios lamps has brought extraordinary realized prices at auction. Beauty alone does not decide it. Attribution, original parts, construction, and condition matter much more. Check the underside of the bronze base and the lower rim of the shade, because the two components may carry separate evidence. A signature never proves the case by itself, but it shows you where to begin. Tonight's number 1 is the lamp style most likely to cause that confusion. First, we start with something far humbler. Its hollow ceramic body holds a clue many families never notice. Number 10. The ceramic television lamp. These low, glowing lamps appeared in American living rooms during the 1950s, often beside the new television set. Some resemble panthers, birds, wagons, seashells, or planters, with a bulb hidden behind them. Today, one can look like a piece of television scenery that wandered into the basement and never found its way out. The dated shape does not establish value, the maker does. Royal Hager produced documented ceramic television lamps, while numerous other companies and workshops made versions of their own. Unmarked decorative copies are common. Identified examples in scarce glazes, especially those with intact planters, lighting compartments, and original fittings, deserve more attention than a similar anonymous animal. Carefully lift the lamp and photograph the entire underside. Look for an impressed name, a molded number, a paper label, or a clean patch where a label once sat. Check the bulb compartment and cord opening too, but do not dismantle anything. Chips around the planter, repainted glaze, missing covers, and replacement electrical parts can alter both the identification and the value. Do not judge it by the panther alone. Same prowling cat, different maker, different glaze, different market. The next lamp can look even more theatrical, yet a little foil label may matter more than the entire figure. Number 9. The towering Marbro decorative lamp. These lamps are hard to miss. A large ceramic figure, imported urn, carved object, or brass-mounted vessel rises from an elaborate base, often under a shade nearly wide enough to serve lunch. The style is commonly called Hollywood Regency, and it may seem too dramatic for any room that no longer has velvet curtains. The Marbro Lamp Company assembled or retailed many distinctive decorative lamps using imported objects and substantial mounting hardware. Attribution matters. An identifiable Marbro lamp belongs in a different research category from a later decorator piece that only looks like one. Search gently around the base, socket area, and underside for a surviving foil label. Before cleaning, photograph the mounting hardware, finial, shade, and every label. If you have two matching lamps, keep the pair together. An intact attributed pair may be more desirable than one isolated lamp, and original shades and finials can help document how the pieces were meant to look. Same towering urn, same aging shade. One has verifiable attribution and its surviving mate. The other is an anonymous single. That changes the research, though it may not change your first impression. Compare realized sales with realized sales, because ambitious dealer listings do not prove what buyers actually paid. Labels may disappear, but number 8 leaves its evidence in the metal frame and colored glass. Number 8. The slag-glass panel lamp. You may recognize this one by its bent panels of caramel, green, rose, or cream-colored glass held inside a heavy metal shade. Documented companies including Miller and Bradley and Hubbard made early 20th century examples. Later generic lamps borrowed the look, so age alone does not answer the question. Start with the base casting and the socket cluster. Photograph every name, set of initials, number, or piece of patent wording. Then examine the shade from both sides. Original panels should fit the tabs and curves of the metal frame coherently. A replacement panel may differ in thickness, color, surface, or curvature. Cracks, missing sections, bent tabs, and mismatched glass can materially reduce desirability, even when the lamp still looks attractive. Do not remove the panels to test them. Do not force a bent tab. What matters is how the glass and frame have survived together. And never assume the decorated shade has value while the plain base is disposable. Save one and discard the other, and you may destroy the attributable whole. Most old panel lamps are not rare masterpieces. Still, a coherent period lamp with documented evidence of its maker is not equivalent to a shade assembled from unrelated parts. Number 7 is less decorative, but one green shade became an office fixture that collectors still identify by name. Number 7. The Emeralite desk lamp. A green glass shade, weighted metal base, and adjustable arm created one of the most familiar library and office silhouettes of the early 20th century. Lamps associated with the Emeralite name and the H.G. McFadden Company still turn up on desks, in basements, and inside family offices where no one has studied them for decades. The green shade is not enough. Replacement shades can imitate the broad silhouette without preserving the original lamp. What deserves inspection is the relationship between the shade, base, socket assembly, and adjustment hardware. Photograph any lettering on the shade before you wipe it. Record the base plate, maker information, socket, switch, arm, and adjustment points. Do not turn stiff hardware or remove the shade merely to find a mark. A correct original shade may have the expected manufacturing details and markings, while a later substitute may fit poorly or have a different shape. A complete documented example belongs in a different category from a reproduction shade set on an old base. Damage matters as well. The holder can conceal chips along the edge of the glass, and repainting can hide the original finish. You had no reason to notice any of that when it was just the green desk lamp in the spare room. Now you know where the evidence is waiting. 4 lamps, 4 different answers, and decoration has not settled any of them. The system is maker, material, matching parts, and condition. So far, the clues have appeared beneath ceramic, on a foil label, inside metalwork, and directly on glass. Before you rewire, polish, repaint, or discard a shade, document the lamp exactly as it stands. Old wiring may need professional attention before the lamp can be used safely, but replacement work can erase evidence if no one records the original assembly first. Number 6 replaces stained glass with tangled synthetic strands, and that deeply unfashionable material is the clue. Number 6, the spaghetti or spun-fiberglass lamp. These hanging swag lamps and table lamps use spun fiberglass, resin-coated strands, or open web-like shades strongly associated with mid-century interiors. Some have atomic silhouettes, colored inner diffusers, or long suspension chains. Others look as if a lampshade became trapped in a plate of noodles. Once again, the construction holds the evidence. Check for a maker's label near the socket, canopy, diffuser, or shade frame. Photograph the dimensions and the complete hanging system. Original diffusers, chains, ceiling caps, finials, and internal supports may help identify a documented model. Condition is crucial. The strands can become brittle, stained, crushed, or broken. An improvised replacement diffuser may change both the lamp's appearance and the surviving evidence. Later craft reproductions can imitate the loose web, too, so the material by itself does not prove age. Hold the shade by its supporting frame, never by the strands, and do not scrub it. Compare the shape, hardware, and label with period catalogs or documented examples before assigning a maker. An intact, attributable design can be desirable precisely because so many fragile examples failed to survive. A damaged, anonymous shade may still be decorative, but that is a different claim. The next lamp exchanges tangled plastic for carved wood, and its silhouette may lead straight to the manufacturer. Number 5. The sculptural Modeline wood lamp. Tall walnut or teak forms, stacked blocks, slatted towers, and dramatic geometric arms gave Modeline lamps an unmistakable mid-century presence. To an unfamiliar eye, one may look like a homemade wood sculpture fitted with a socket after someone ran out of shelf space. Check beneath the base and near the socket for a Modeline label, model information, or the old adhesive outline left by a missing label. Then, photograph the entire silhouette from several angles. Model identification often depends on the relationship between the wooden form, diffuser, shade, socket position, and base. Attribution changes the research. A documented Modeline form with the expected construction and surviving diffuser is not equivalent to an anonymous lamp that copies its general profile. Same wood tone, similar shape, different evidence. Examine the grain for splits, water damage, heavy sanding, added screws, and stain that may hide a repair. Keep any removable diffuser or unusual shade with the lamp, even if it looks plain. That unremarkable part may be what connects the piece to a catalog image. Do not assign a famous designer just because a sales listing does. Company production and individual designer attribution are separate questions, and a confident asking price is not a verified result. Begin with the label, the form, and documented comparisons. Wood gives number 5 its identity. Number 4 comes down to the way one continuous piece of glass was formed. Number 4. The Murano mushroom lamp. Rounded glass mushroom lamps may have a domed cap, a folded body, or a single continuous hand-shaped shell that glows from within. Their soft curves are fashionable again, and sellers have responded by attaching the word Murano to almost any colorful lamp that looks Italian. That word is a claim. It is not proof. Murano-style means the lamp resembles glass associated with the Venetian island. It does not establish where the object was made, which furnace produced it, or when it was made. Photograph every label, piece of etched wording, wiring label, and item of hardware. Study how the cap connects to the body. Record the glass thickness, color transitions, folds, base opening, and tool marks, but do not treat one feature as conclusive. A documented manufacturer, reliable provenance, and construction matching an archived model make a stronger case than appearance alone. This protects you from both mistakes. An authenticated Italian lamp should not be dismissed as a generic modern mushroom. And an unsupported lamp should not acquire an extraordinary value merely because an online listing borrowed a desirable name. Use realized auction descriptions for properly identified examples and ordinary sold comparisons for unattributed lamps. Keep dealer descriptions and asking prices in separate columns. Evidence makes the difference, not enthusiasm. Number 3 carries a picture on its shade, but the most important signature may be nearly invisible along the edge. Number 3. The Handel reverse-painted lamp. These lamps show landscapes, flowers, trees, or sunset colors on glass shades painted from the inside. Across the room, the scene may look softly printed. Up close, the protected interior paint seen through the exterior glass gives it depth that ordinary surface decoration does not have. Aim angled light along the lower rim and exterior surface. Do not scrape, wet, or rub the paint. Photograph any signature along the edge, then record the base mark, shade support, sockets, cap, and finial. A Handel shade and a Handel base must still be examined as separate components that may or may not have started life together. That completeness question matters. An authentic shade married to an unrelated base is not equivalent to a fully documented lamp, even if both pieces are genuinely old. Correct supports and proportions help specialists decide whether the assembly is coherent. Some damage is hard to spot. Flaking paint, over-cleaning, heat damage, cracks, and repaired glass may remain hidden until light passes through the shade. Never remove loose paint to make the picture look cleaner. Once it is gone, it is gone. The painted scene catches your eye, but the signature, construction, matched parts, and condition support the claim. You cannot automatically apply the realized price of a complete cataloged lamp to a loose shade or uncertain assembly. Paint identifies number 3. On number 2, the decisive evidence was hammered into copper. Number 2. The Dirk Van Erp copper-and-mica lamp. A hammered copper base under a warm amber mica shade can look severe, dark, and almost too heavy for the room. Lamps attributed to Dirk Van Erp's workshop are highly desirable, which makes careful authentication essential. The famous windmill mark may begin the examination, but it cannot finish it. Photograph the stamp straight on and again under angled light. Record its wording, placement, size, and relationship to the construction. Then document the hammering, seams, rivets, socket assembly, shade frame, mica, and surface color. Later copies and misleading marks exist, and genuine workshop production may vary by period. A stamp therefore has to be compared with museum, scholarly, and authenticated workshop references as one part of the complete object. One mark is not enough. Do not polish the copper until it shines. An old surface can preserve evidence of age and finish that aggressive cleaning strips away. Do not replace the mica until you have documented its frame and attachment. Restored mica may make a lamp usable or attractive, but that restoration must be disclosed when you compare it with an intact example. Tie any exceptional price to a named auction house, the sale date, a full catalog description, and a confirmed realized result. Without those details, an online number repeated from page to page proves very little. Number 1 is not the rarest looking lamp. It is the style most easily mistaken for an ordinary reproduction. Number 1. The Tiffany-style leaded glass lamp. This is the most useful lamp in the countdown because versions of it sit in dens, guest rooms, inherited living room sets, and thrift store corners across the country. Most are modern decorative lamps inspired by Tiffany designs. They may be attractive and perfectly usable, but their ordinary sold prices are generally modest. That is the honest floor. The narrow exception supports the title. Authentic Tiffany Studios shades and bases have achieved extraordinary realized auction prices, sometimes reaching far beyond the thousands a casual first glance might suggest. But a familiar stained glass lamp does not receive that value merely because it has flowers, bronze-colored metal, or a signature. Examine the shade and base separately. Photograph the lower rim of the shade, the underside of the base, the cap, socket cluster, switch, leading, and every piece of hardware. Record the precise form and placement of any signature. False or misleading marks exist, so the mark starts a professional authentication process. It does not finish one. Then examine the materials. Tiffany Studios' work may have carefully selected glass with deliberate variation in color, opacity, and texture. The construction, bronze casting, patina, leading, and hardware must agree with the proposed attribution. After that, look at the matching parts. A genuine shade placed on an unrelated base is not the same object as a coherent, documented lamp. Even two authentic components may not belong together. Last comes condition. Cracks, replacement glass, solder repairs, stripped patina, damaged sockets, and altered fittings affect the evidence as well as the value. Do not try to test age by scratching the metal or forcing components apart. Clear photographs are safer and far more useful. Maker, materials, matching parts, condition. Those 4 checks explain every lamp tonight. The ceramic television lamp, the labeled Marbro pair, the slag-glass panels, the green Emeralite shade, the fiberglass web, the Modeline wood, the Italian glass mushroom, the reverse-painted Handel scene, the copper-and-mica workshop lamp, and the Tiffany-style example most likely to sit in an ordinary home. Those 4 checks tell you more than beauty, fashion, or any story attached to the lamp. An ugly lamp does not become valuable because someone calls it rare. It deserves a second look when the physical evidence points to a documented maker, a distinctive material or form, surviving original parts, and condition that has not erased the clues. Photograph every mark. Keep the shade and base together. Record the sockets, finial, diffuser, chains, labels, finish, and mounting hardware. If the lamp looks promising, seek qualified specialist verification before cleaning, rewiring, selling, or donating it. Old electrical components can be unsafe to operate, so an appropriate professional should inspect and repair the wiring. First, preserve the documentation. Before anyone separates the shade, before anyone polishes the copper, before that ceramic base reaches the donation box, make a clear record of the complete lamp. A modest reproduction loses nothing when it is carefully documented. A significant original may keep the very evidence that proves what it is. If this episode helped you look at those dated lamps differently, a like can help it reach another household where one is sitting beside a clean-out box. Subscribe to the Heirloom Check with David Levin for another beginner-friendly look at familiar objects that deserve careful inspection. Which old lamp is still in your home, and whose room do you first remember seeing it in? In clear light, photograph the underside, the shade rim, the sockets, and every piece of hardware before you change anything.